9:01, it's 60 degrees, sunny, a bit hazy today, clouds late, mid-80s for the high, mostly cloudy down to 66 tonight. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. 6 UW-Madison students still without a permanent place to live after a series of fires in the city Wednesday morning that police suspect is arson. One of the students, Carly Lehman of Franklin, telling WTMJ the quick action of their neighbor to call 911 prevented an even bigger tragedy from happening.
We were told by the firefighters that if we had waited even 5 more minutes to call 911, that our house would have been in a much worse state than it is right now. They said it would have spread to the houses around us as well.
None of the 6 were injured in the fire. A suspect is still at large this morning. Lehman says she's staying with friends in the city and will be returning to class today. For a photo of the suspect and a link to donate to the displaced students, you can text FIRE to the WTMJ Talk and Text line. That's 855-616-1620. In Milwaukee, the city's housing authority still facing a lawsuit from its residents at College Court on the city's south side concerning deteriorating living conditions over the years. Hackham met with residents Wednesday for the first time in 8 months in person. After the meeting, Director Willie Hines Jr. said he has no plans to step down from his position.
I'm committed to continuing my efforts and working with HUD to address the corrective action plans. I do not anticipate resigning, and neither do I anticipate retirement. I have many working years ahead of me.
The class action lawsuit filed against Hackham claims residents at College Court have been dealing with a bed bug infestation for over 5 years. Parts of Louisiana underwater this morning and nearly 400,000 people in the dark after Francine slammed into the state as a Category 2 hurricane last night. Francine has weakened to a tropical depression as it continues to move north through the southeast U.S. CBS News' Jeanette Shulman is in Gulfport, Mississippi.
That's going to continue to be an issue, not just today here in Mississippi, but for the next couple of days and in Louisiana as well. And there is the potential for more rain, so we're watching out for that. But for the most part, it has moved out, but those rip currents are what they're warning people about this morning here in Gulfport.
Storm Team 4 says there's a slight chance some of Francine's remnants could track into Wisconsin late this weekend. Your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast is coming up in just a couple of minutes. And now that the first private spacewalk in space is in the books, another SpaceX technology is making its first step. ABC's Trevor Alt.
The Polaris mission also marks the first time the SpaceX engineered extravehicular activity spacesuits, or EVA, have been tested in space. The space company says on their website, building a base on the moon and a city on Mars will require thousands of spacesuits. The development of this suit and the execution of the EVA will be important steps toward a scalable design for spacesuits on future long-duration missions.
To watch a recap of today's historic spacewalk, you can text SPACE to the WTMJ Talk and Text line 855-616-1620. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow down 178 points this hour to 40,684. The NASDAQ, meanwhile, is up 17 to 17,413, and the S&P 500 down 8 this morning to 5,546. Get an honest opinion of where you are financially and where you're headed. Work with a fee-only fiduciary. Start at annexwealth.com. Trying to salvage a series win in the Bay. We'll have that plus the roads in your 5-day forecast up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Times, 9:05.
Start your weekend tonight with a free dinner at the historic and gorgeous Fox and Hound Supper Club. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Fox and Hounds. It is the best dining value in the state. Your second dinner is always free. Steak, ribs, seafood, pasta, a big fresh salad, any dinner item on the menu, your second one is free. Desserts and ice cream drinks, yeah, and they're huge. Buy one, get one free. So relax with your favorite beverage in the 8 unique dining rooms or on the patio in the woods. Spectacular views. I love the patio. Celebrate a birthday, an anniversary, or just a quiet dinner with your sweetie. Your second dinner is always free. The Fox and Hounds, just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of the beautiful Holy Hill Shrine. The drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest is a must-see. Weekends might be too busy. Enjoy your free dinner tonight. And the Friday Fish Fry is all you care to eat and one of the best. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com. Enjoy your free dinner. Tables are open. It's the famous Fox and Hounds.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Before you tour a home, the real estate professional you're working with may ask you to sign a buyer's agreement, which describes the services you'll receive each party's role and responsibilities, and how your agent will be compensated, all of which you'll want to discuss with them up front. So work with an agent who's a Realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors with a duty to honestly represent you and put your interests above their own, because that's who we are.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius, or two half geniuses, and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk. After a Wednesday drubbing 13-2 at the hands of the Giants, the Brewers trying to salvage a series win in the Bay Area this evening. Our coverage will start at 8:10 right here on WTMJ. And an announcement from four actually schools out west: Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State, all today announcing that they will join the Pac-12 for athletics starting in the 2026-27 school year. Checking the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver. Traffic still have that broken down bus right now. It's right by 25th Street, the 25th Street exit on 94 East. It's on the left side of the road. It looks like that bus is hitched up to a trailer right now, so it's just a matter of when they'll be able to get that out of the way. So be mindful as you're heading west towards the stadium right now. They're still working on that backup stretching into the Marquette on 94 East at this time. The rest of the system looking okay at this hour, except for on 94 East from about, that looks like 76th straight through to the stadium. You'll be running into some delays there. But again, 94 West, starting about 25th Street, we're still working on getting that bus taken care of on the left side of the road.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
While you're navigating the roads as quickly and safely as possible, if you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Volkswagen Traffic Tip Line, 414-238-9329.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny today. We will see some haze from that western wildfire smoke. We'll also get some clouds late in the day. High of 82 near the lake, up to 85 inland. Mostly cloudy down to 66 tonight. High clouds and filtered sun then for your Friday. A high of 78. Partly cloudy 78 on Saturday. Then some of those Francine remnants may work their way into Wisconsin late in the day on Sunday. Otherwise mostly cloudy, a high of 80. Slight chance for showers Monday and a high of 81 degrees. Right now in Madison, sunny skies and 66, 64 and sun in Green Bay. Waukesha checking in 68 and sunny right now. And in Milwaukee, sunny skies and 67 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 909.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
And good morning. Welcome to a special opening segment of the Thursday edition of the Political Power Hour. We'll get to the legal stuff after my friend and teammate John McCure warms up the other mic. Hi, John McCure.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me. I love hanging out with you.
I will always have you in studio anytime, but especially for stuff like this, we are kind of relaunching our WTMJ Cares, and we have a good one. So tell folks out there in the radio universe, which is over the air and streaming and all that stuff, what you're working on. It's pretty cool.
So you're a little familiar with this story. This is an incredible story.
I drive by it every day.
Howell Avenue, Lance Side John Plaza is what you're talking about.
F4 Phantom Fighter.
Beautiful. Looks like it's flying off into the sky, right?
Especially at night because they light up the tail.
Yeah, the afterburners. Yeah. Isn't that cool? So Lance Side John was a Bayview native, and he went to the Air Force Academy. He eventually went to Vietnam. He was on his 52nd combat mission, and this is a guy that at Bayview High School was the class president. He had the lead in the musical, all-conference football player. Graduates the Air Force Academy, gets sent to Vietnam, and for the first couple of months, things are relatively uneventful. 52nd mission, he's with a colonel up in a F4, and there's an explosion, and his jet crashes in the jungle. He is severely hurt. Compound fracture of his left leg. The bone is sticking out. He can only scooch on his behind like 10 feet a day. He's in the jungle for 46 days. Evades capture. eventually goes from 220 pounds to 80.
Which, that's just amazing.
It's hard to even think about, right?
This guy could have been president. This is how driven he was, but he kept himself alive, and he gets recaptured.
He gets recaptured, so then he's beaten relentlessly. Eventually, to cut to the quick, he's killed. He's beaten to death in the same prison where John McCain was held. John McCain, by the way, went on to say that Lance Sijon from Bayview was the bravest American he knew, and said Lance Sijon inspired the rest of us. And that's John McCain, famous POW.
So I love this display, and I drive it by every morning because I take 794 to work, and the Phantom Fighter's up there. And it's sort of a great tribute, not just to Lance Sijon, who was an incredibly heroic Medal of Honor recipient, but also remembrance of the Vietnam War. I always think about that when I drive by.
Yep, that's a really good point, Steve. So he comes home, and the Medal of Honor is given to his family 7 years after he dies. And then his sister, who's still in the area, and she's amazing, comes together with this idea to put this fighter jet that you talked about at the airport. Okay, so let's fast forward now. This is Lance Sijon Plaza. It's about our heritage because he's one of us. It's about respect for him, and the plane's in disrepair. So the plane needs to be painted. The plane needs to be weatherproofed a little bit. The plane needs some work, and it's a beautiful plaza there with granite benches. So we are raising money to repair the plane, to take care of his legacy, because it's about all of us. There are buildings named after this guy at the Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
There is stuff on the East Coast that's named after him. I mean, he is truly an American hero.
Best of the best.
Best of the best.
And this, I love these initiatives because this is where our listeners, however you listen, however you consume WTMJ, always step up. You and I have done enough of these WTMJ Cares thing to know that we've had incredible fundraising efforts on all kinds of things. And this one is so important because I think at some point some of us forget the sacrifice. And I was so honored to be on the honor flight and be a guardian for my guy, Wayne. And it was just such an honor. But this is a way to remember our past in a way that is always there for us, a constant reminder. How can people contribute? How can they help?
It's easy, Steve. Text the word Lance, L-A-N-C-E. Text the word Lance to our main line, 855-616-1620. You text the word Lance, you're going to get taken to a page that has his story, it has pictures, and it has a way you can donate. We're trying to raise $50,000 to protect his legacy and renovate the jet. Text the word Lance to 855-616-1620, and you can help us make a difference.
I will make a donation because I think it's such a great
That's
cause.
Fantastic.
Thanks
Thank you
for doing this. We'll mention it a lot in the weeks ahead, and I want people to understand this is a way to really, really, really not just honor Vietnam veterans, but also honor an incredible individual who sacrificed his life for us. And the thing about all those combat missions, he had already done so much.
Yep.
And yet he still persevered as much as he could before they tragically ended his life. What a great story.
A brave guy from our area, and we need to just protect his legacy. Let's remember that history that you talk about so often.
All right, Lance, 855-616-1620. Let's do it. And if you donate $100, I will mention your name on the air. So let's do that right now. John McCure, thank you.
That's fantastic. Scaffidi, thanks. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. After the break, the legal edition of the Political Power Hour coming up. Mary Kuhnmensch, retired Milwaukee County judge, and local attorney Matt O'Neill on what we should be looking for election night. And afterwards, when it comes to this presidential election coming up in November. All that and more. Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ.
Lance Sijon died as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. His memory has been maintained in a replica of his fighter jet at the Milwaukee airport. The plane is now in need of major renovations. Join John McCure in our WTMJ Cares campaign as we restore the plane back to the dignity that matches the honor of Captain Sijon. Text Lance to 855-616-1620 for information on how you can help preserve this legacy to Lance in its full glory.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Annex Wealth Management. When it comes to investment and retirement planning, this is not a time to set it and forget it, especially with everyday prices as high as they are. There's also global unrest, and if you haven't heard about it, the upcoming presidential election that will have substantial impact on the economy. Time to be nimble. It's time for Annex Wealth Management. Know where you are and where you can go based on working with Annex, retirement investment planning, tax planning, estate planning. That's what Annex does. If you're already retired, how about a second look at your current plan from somewhere else? How about that? Same thing with do-it-yourselfers. I was one of those. Annex can help tidy up the loose ends and chart a path forward. It's a great chance to know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. It's easy. I did it. Go to annexwealth.com. Click on the now famous Get Started button. Every day, people just like you and me are visiting one of their 8 great branches. They're just out in Brookfield, beautiful new offices. Or you can meet via Zoom if that's more comfortable for you. Know the difference. Start at AnnexWealth.com.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Lawyers, guns, and money? Interesting. Matt O'Neill, local attorney. What's your law firm, Matt? Get those mics out. There we go.
Fox, O'Neill, and Shannon.
Absolutely. You got your name in the headline there. All right. And retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhn-Mensch. Always great to see both of you. So I thought today, and Mary kind of prompted me on this one, we have an election coming, if you haven't heard.
What?
Yeah. Coming up pretty soon. It's 50-some days now. A lot of us, we just vote. We just vote, and they think that's the end of it, and we will kind of wait for the results. I've actually volunteered to work all night on WTMJ, and I hope they take me up on it, because I think there's going to be a lot of things to talk about. Now, one of those things hopefully won't be sort of the drama that happens during the counting or the legal challenges thereafter. I know, Matt, you work in this area, sort of. Let's kind of walk through some of the things that we might be hearing about, talking about, and in some cases might see in the courtrooms post-vote.
Well, one thing you're going to hear about, as always, is central count and the delays in central count.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall back in 4 years ago, in 2020, in Milwaukee, there were 170,000 absentee votes, all counted centrally. And that central count starts right then at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they've got to count them all at once. And it took until 3 a.m. to finish it. And so what happened is all the results from everywhere else around, including all the Milwaukee municipalities, were in, and then at 3 a.m. those results get posted. And it looked to people like that looked like a dump. It wasn't a dump. It was just as soon as they get it done.
It's a process.
And so they tried, and in fact it was a Republican-backed bill in the interim to allow them to count those absentee ballots earlier the way Florida and several other states do. And it passed the Assembly, no problem, and died in the Senate without a vote.
Should we count our ballots early, those ballots?
100%.
Absolutely. It's the most efficient way to do it. You create a problem, and then you blame the other side for the problem or the result of that problem by not allowing them to, as those ballots come in, from servicemen overseas, from elderly people, from people who are now living or spending part of their time out of seats, the snowbirds down in Florida, by not allowing them to count those ballots, open them, put them through the machine as they come in, you are creating a delay. And how many were the number? 170,000?
170,000 in 2020.
I mean, that's a significant, any voter that's gone into, let's say you're in Ozaukee County, let's say you're voting in Mequon, or you're voting in Milwaukee County and Oak Creek, wherever you may be, you will see undoubtedly when you go in to those smaller communities, not the city of Milwaukee, but to some of the smaller communities in Milwaukee County, they are, as you go and vote, you're seeing usually two or three poll workers dedicated to opening up ballots. And so you can go up and ask them, and they'll tell you what they're doing. They're opening up, because that's the way our process is, because of the law being the way it is now. That day, they get boxes and boxes of these at every outlying station, and in the city of Milwaukee, 170,000 of them. Every municipality gets those, and then they start feeding them in, starting at 7 a.m.
It's
into
a
those machines.
process.
It's a very labor-intensive process.
To reassure you, Steve, there's no problem with these ballots. The system is completely handled bipartisan. Both parties actually appoint people to be the poll workers, and they put them together.
There's also election watchers there as
correct,
well.
And then it's open to all the observers, the whole process is, and they could do that earlier. They could do the same thing before, and other states do it, and they have no problems. Don't release the results, but they can count them.
And Florida, by the way, is a conservative state led by a conservative governor. So, I mean, that should be a prime example of why it shouldn't be a political issue. Real quick, though, what would the legal argument against the idea of counting those ballots earlier be? I don't know what...
There's no legal argument, Steve. There's a practical concern. You would not want the results of any early count getting out because of the theory that it could impact the way people vote.
Is that a realistic concern?
It's a realistic concern, and you need to actually, because it's an open process, because people have to watch the whole thing, you have to have certain guardrails in place so that the results aren't made public.
But at the end of the day, aren't we supposed to put our trust in the county and city and town clerks to do their job, to protect the sanctity of that early vote, if that's what they're tasked to do? I've had clerks on the show, all sorts of municipalities, and they've insisted over and over again, there are not problems here. This is a sort of a media-hyped, certainly a partisan-hyped controversy that has never existed related to the counting of ballots.
That's my position. It is, as a practical matter, I think Matt's absolutely correct. There are enough guardrails you can put in place, and you have to have a certain amount of trust in the clerks and in the volunteers who are doing this, that they don't release. And my guess is that they're so busy feeding those in, they're not doing a tally as to who's got the lead at this point in the process of feeding these into they're so busy doing the actual work, putting them into the machines and getting them to register the votes.
That's a physical process.
Correct.
The counting happens when they take the number off the machine.
That's exactly.
That's how it works.
You print up, there's a tag that with a drive that prints up the actual numbers, and then they verify that afterwards by doing a hand count of and compare the hand count with what shows up on the tally sheet from the machine.
The brilliance of our system is that it is so desegregated, that it is not centralized at all. And what you find, and what I've found in doing recount after recount, is they get it right, they care about it deeply, and we have a very, very good, secure, and proper system.
He is Matt O'Neill, also retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhnmentz joining me. Texter says, we have more patience waiting for our dinner than waiting for a free and fair election process. They may be right. We'll take a break here. After the break, what happens if there is a challenge? Is there a review process in place? We'll discuss that with my two great legal minds on the Thursday edition of the Political Power Hour right here on 620 WTMJ.
The Upswing is your place for commerce and community.
Some school supplies, according to monthly retail tracking data, are actually cheaper than last year. But a lot of other categories that are up 10, 11%.
Hosted by Jeff Sherman.
The average family is estimated to spend $874.68.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Hey, it's Steve Scaffidi with an announcement you're going to love. My next WTMJ listener trip, Fox World Travel. You know, Fox Rose Gray, great travel show on Saturdays right here on WTMJ. Fantastic trip. Let me tell you about it. Sicily and Malta, my home country, my people. I'm going for the second or third time to Sicily. It's called the Sicily and Malta Mosaic, happening October of 2025. Sicily, a fascinating island, part of Italy, with an interesting and unique history, ancient ruins, charming old towns. You know, the great food, the great wine, sparkling coastlines, archaeological sites, and, if that's your thing, Europe's tallest and most active volcano, Mount Etna. And then bonus, we go to a separate country, which is now Malta, one of the smallest and friendliest countries in the world. My wife, Kathy, and I would love to have you join us. Like Dean and Linda just signed up. Jeff and Diana just signed up. Lots of people. Patty, Jen, they just signed up. Join us and them on this amazing WTMJ listener trip. To get more information, 866-GO-FOX-GO, 866-GO-FOX-GO, or foxworldtravel.com, group travel. Find Sicily and Malta Mosaic, and in the wonderful list of all the great trips that Fox World Travel puts together, there's also an early booking discount. Don't wait. It's substantial. Sicily and Malta Mosaic. Call today.
Hi, I'm Jim Token, president of Adam. Do you ever miss the good old days?
When we were actually smarter than our phones? And when you didn't need a password to do everything but tie your shoes?
I hear you, but I'm thinking more specifically about car shopping, when dealer lots were filled with new inventory and manufacturers were offering big incentives and discounts. Well, I'm happy to say those days are back at Adam member dealers all over Metro Milwaukee. If you haven't shopped for a new car or truck for a while, you'll be pleasantly surprised at the on-hand inventory and number of money-saving deals and financing offers you'll find. Not only that, but the choice of gas, hybrid, or electric vehicles with performance, styling, and safety features that were never available before. It's really the best time ever to shop for a new car or truck.
I suppose I need a password.
No, just find your nearest Adam member dealer or start your new car search at adamm.com.
You're not just a job number as a Sidex customer. They've been family-owned since 1988, and they treat you as part of their family. Upgrade and transform your current bathroom space with Sidex Windows Siding and Bath. They have seasoned design consultants with 10 to 30 years of experience. The owner, Joe, is honoring his dad's legacy with top-tier products and expert craftsmanship. It's Sidex, the best in the business. Get a free shower door upgrade when you mention WTMJ. Visit sidexremodel.com.
It's Thursday. It's the legal edition of the Political Power Hour at 620 WTMJ. Retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhnmensch waving to one of our fans outside of our studios here at the Avenue, and local attorney Matt O'Neill. A couple texters have said about the concern about the possibility of leaks and protecting ballots. I guess is the other sort of theme of some of the texters. I guess you have to trust the clerks here, right? And the process.
I know. There are people that presume that everything that's done is wrong and that people are Machiavellian and evil. And there are the rest of us who believe that we got to trust in the process. We've been doing it for 250 years. The technology has helped us do it better and more efficiently. And for whatever reason, in the last 5 years, because of conspiracy theorists, we now have to double check whether or not we can trust any clerk who's paid, seriously, a minimal amount in terms of government employees.
For the amount of work they do related to elections now, they're very underpaid.
And they have to rely on volunteers coming in and helping them. So we either trust people to be honest and do this or we don't. And it really depends on your mindset, whether you think anybody who's volunteering and trying to help out. I mean, I go into these places and I watch the senior citizens and other volunteers that are doing this work and feeding these things into the machines, and I don't see the machinations that everybody else must see that thinks that it's a crooked process. So it's not crooked.
The counting process, if we counted early, would be the same process they do at Central Count. That would be with volunteers appointed by both political parties, all fully observed by the public, and then the results would not be announced, but the question is, would clerks leak those results? Right. And if they did, there's such a small number of people in that clerk's office that the candle's not worth the game. So theoretically, it could happen. I don't think realistically there's any realistic chance it would happen.
All right, I'm going to give you a quick example. So I chaired thousands of meetings as a Common Council president and then as a mayor. Thousands of meetings. And I often had people who came in and spoke, and that you can always speak at the open session at most meetings. Sometimes it's a little more limited than that, but and they would be the loudest, and they would say things that I knew were deliberately not, said to be to try to get an impact out of the assembled electeds or the audience. And you let them speak. But at some point, my role as sort of the facilitator of the meeting was to say, everything you said you have the right to say, but those aren't the truths. Those aren't the facts. And it was my job to kind of lay out the facts on the things we're talking about. And they didn't like it, and they protested. It's the same thing with elections. You can say things that you believe maybe, or that you are told to believe by your political parties or other partisan agents. But it's also the job of elected officials and local leaders and thought leaders, of which you two are both in that category, to sort of lay out the facts. Just because you say things doesn't mean they deserve more attention, doesn't mean they deserve to be listened to. That's the reality, even for elections. And as we go through this process one more time, and we saw what happened in 2020, it's going to require adults to be part of this conversation, to actually tell us what is happening in real life, not in fantasy world, not in the world of partisan politics. That's the difference. All right, we got a lot to talk about. What are the Wisconsin Supreme Court going to be up to? The impact of the immunity ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, the fallout from that on the cases revolving and swirling around former President Donald Trump. So much to talk about. Always fun when we gather the troops on our Thursday edition, the legal edition of Political Power Hour. We have local news with Adam Roberts coming up and a lot more of our show. But before we get to any of that, here's the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. 3 big wildfires growing in Southern California. The Bridge Fire spans Los Angeles and San Bernardino counties and is now 50,000 acres. ABC's Melissa Adan is nearby, standing outside a home that was burned to the ground.
Fire crews tell me they worked and tried their hardest to save this home, but it was so quick how the flames moved that engulfed and destroyed it. Now they tell me it was an elderly couple who lived inside of here. Fortunately, they managed to evacuate. They survived.
The line fire in San Bernardino Bernardino County is 36,000 acres, and the airport fire in Riverside County, 23,000 acres. Tropical storm Francine coming ashore on the coast of Louisiana overnight, bringing flash flooding to New Orleans and torrential rain up through Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas. Attorney General Merrick Garland addressing the Department of Justice employees, telling them in a speech today he's proud of their commitment to nonpartisanship on the job, despite a rising number of threats in recent years. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:31. Madison police continuing to ask the public for help identifying a person of interest in a dumpster fire who is possibly connected to 2 additional downtown Madison fires, including a blaze that displaced 6 UW-Madison students early Wednesday morning. A photo of the suspect and a link to the students' GoFundMe is available by texting FIRE to the WTMJ talk and text line 855-616-1620. Meanwhile, employees at a Brookfield Auto Center are recovering from minor burns after a camper fire. Officials responding to the Napa Auto Care Center near 124th and North Wednesday evening for a camper van fully engulfed in flames outside of the building. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. And Decision, Wisconsin, another top political candidate is in the Badger State tomorrow. Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz plans to hold multiple events in the Wausau area after making stops in Michigan earlier in the day. Walz will speak at the Central Wisconsin Airport in Mosinee, the same airport former President Donald Trump had a rally at earlier this month. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Still a down day for the Dow, off 56 points to 40,806, while the Nasdaq is up 83 to 17,478, and the S&P 500 has rebounded from earlier losses this morning. They're now up 12 to 5,566. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Going over the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. We are still dealing with that broken down bus that is on the left side of 94 West, right near the exit to 25th Street. Our backups are still extending into the Marquette. The volume has lightened up a bit on this stretch of road, and the van is still hooked up to the back of a trailer, or the bus, I should say. It still has not been removed yet, though, so be mindful of that. If you're on 94 heading west towards the stadium, you will encounter that bus on the left side of the freeway. And again, those backups stretching into the Marquette at this time. Also right now, left shoulder blocked on 894 south at Greenfield due to what the DOT is calling an incident. No delays due to that at this time yet. And 894 west from about 27th Street to Loomis, delays through that construction zone. And your WTMJ forecast for today: sunny, hazy, clouds late in the day, 82 near the lake up to 85 inland, cloudy and 66 tonight. Filtered sunshine, high clouds on Friday and 78, partly cloudy 78 Saturday. Then possible remnants of Hurricane Francine could reach the area late on Sunday. There will be slight chances for rain, though, mostly cloudy otherwise with a high of 80, slight rain chances Monday, and a high of 81 degrees. Right now in the Wisconsin Dells, sunny and 67, 73 in sun in New Berlin, and in Milwaukee this hour, sunny skies and 70 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:34.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. As the largest lighting supplier to new home builders and decorators in Wisconsin, our huge showroom displays all the finest brands of lighting and ceiling fans, including such top brands as Visual Comfort, Tech, and many more. And our expert staff will assist you in making the right selections. Our prices are always the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Hey, there's free pizza today at the Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Merck here. I love the Mind Chef pizza. Every Thursday, when you buy one pizza, you get a second pizza free. Buy 2, get 2 free. Buy 10, get 10 free pizzas, any size, any quantity. Hey, coaches, bring in your football, soccer, cross-country, volleyball, swim team. Have them beef up on the free pizza. Your players will love the Mind Chef's world-class game room. It's big food, big fun. It's super affordable team bonding. Bring in pizza today for your loyal employees. and your clients. They'll appreciate you, and your second pizza is always free. Business owners and managers, order now and pick up your pizza shortly, or dine in. And the Friday 3-piece dine-in fish fry is just $4.99. That's nuts. $4.99. The Mine Shaft right there in downtown Hartford and in Oshkosh. Don't even think about turning on your oven. Just walk into the Mine Shaft today for your free pizza with plenty to take home for tomorrow. Check it out, mineshaftrestaurant.com.
I always look forward to the Thursday one because I always know I have really smart people in studio. Not that I don't on the other days or on the phone, but we are joined in studio. On
Way too much pressure, Steve.
And you guys are getting a lot of love, so that usually means you're connecting, which I think is sort of the goal of the show, is to have like smart people talk about real stuff and not the fake stuff that sort of consumes all the oxygen in the room for politics or the legal challenges to politics now. I did want to just tie this into the conversation we just had, and then we'll get to some of the Wisconsin Supreme Court's information, what's coming up. Somebody asked, or said on the text line, 855-616-1620, WTMJ Talking text line, it's not really about the counting, it's about people who should not be voting. And I know the story pretty well. I've read a lot about it. There's a lot of claims made about people voting more than once, or illegal people that shouldn't be voting, or they're not residents. But the actual cases or convictions on that are on like a hand for like the state of Wisconsin. It's not a lot of cases. That's my reality. Is that yours?
I would agree with that. And some of those challenges in Wisconsin can be heard. If you have, and many other states have the same rules in place, that if you believe that somebody is voting, registering to vote, because we have same-day registrations and same-day voting in Wisconsin, thankfully, but it puts pressure on the people registering them to know the laws, to know whether somebody is still a convicted felon and has not had their constitutional rights restored. So when I was observing, I would actually see they would have printouts, the most up-to-date printouts that the Department of Corrections can provide to all the election spots around the state, where if you're registering somebody, you definitely, once you get their ID and you're looking at it, you're supposed to now cross-check it against the DOC for people who are still on probation or still serving a sentence, and they obviously have not had their constitutional rights restored. They can't vote. That's a whole other discussion about whether we should allow felons to vote. Some states do, some don't. We don't. But there's a process during the registration where you're supposed to be verifying all of these kinds of things, and it's done by making sure that they bring in proper identification, that they bring in passports, photo IDs, state IDs that you can get even if you can't pay for it. The state will allow you to get one even free. So that's a public service we provide. But you're dependent, again, on the people, the volunteers who are working the registration booth at these election sites, at the polling places, to make sure they do their good cross checks to make sure somebody doesn't slip through. I don't find that, Steve, the abuses of that. When I served as an election worker and I was a supervisor at a couple of different sites that were very congested, and I was watching, it's amazing to me how thoughtful and serious people take this, and they're not paid anything. Right. I think it's like 16 or 17 or maybe $100 for their time doing this, and they do a really good job. But again, can mistakes be made? Sure. Is that the norm? No, it's not.
Bottom line, don't let anyone get in in the way of your right to vote.
I've been working on voting issues, in particular charging issues, for over 20 years. And when there is any evidence that somebody has voted twice, or somebody has voted in an improper manner, or they voted while their felony, they're not off paper yet, which is what it's called, they are prosecuted 100% of the time. It is taken incredibly seriously by district attorneys across the state.
Yes, it is.
I've never seen enforcement more serious than on that issue.
Let me just follow up on that. That's absolutely true. And I can tell you that there's a duty judge, the nighttime duty judge in Milwaukee County, and across the state, we have duty judges who are in place from our ranks in every county, especially we're acutely aware of these issues being raised on the election day. So November 5th comes. There will be a nighttime duty judge in Milwaukee County. I don't know who it will be, but I've done it. And in my time on the bench, and you're there to hear if somebody does have a challenge to somebody. We call those provisional ballots. Somebody challenges somebody to vote. You then put that aside. It's a provisional ballot, and those issues could be brought to the duty judge, who has to make a decision that night or within 48 hours as to whether or not the person who is challenging it has sufficient evidence, almost to a standard of like probable cause, to challenge this person's right to vote.
Safeguards are in place. Let's give you a chance to get your breath. And Mary Kuhn-Mensch, Matt O'Neill, producer Jaslyn, doing the great job she always does on this program. Got the A-team today. I love that. And yours truly, Steve Scaffidi, host of the Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. Quick break. Then we're going to get to the looming decisions by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, what they're up to, what they're working on. And your questions, 855-616-1620. Then I'm going to roll out the way that I want to end all of our Thursday shows now. Closing arguments from our two guests. How original is that? I surprised you with that. So think about that. Closing arguments in the last segment. That's all coming up. Political Power Hour, Legal Edition, Thursday, WTMJ.
Hey there, Wisconsin. It's Dave from Feldco. The seasons are changing and cooler temps are on the way. Are your windows ready? Feldco's energy-efficient, American-made windows are specifically designed for the Midwestern elements. It's the perfect time to make valuable upgrades to your home that'll keep you warm, safe, and comfortable. Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Visit us at 4feldco.com for a free quote or just give us a call. You know the number.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4Feldco.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Advent, tossing and turning, snoring, restless nights, all the stuff that plagues a lot of people when they're just trying to get a good night's sleep. I had those issues. My poor wife, Kathy, had to deal with all that, especially the snoring part. I did something about it. I went to Advent, one of the great facilities, 30-minute visit, asked my questions. 2 docs provided all the answers I need. They put me at ease. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. They determined the root cause, sinuses, nasal passages. Very common, by the way. Very common problem. After a short procedure in one of their offices, back to breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night last night. 7.5 hours uninterrupted sleep. If that's the goal, and it should be, don't struggle with those restless nights like I did. Take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com. Schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
It's Blaine's Farm and Fleet's 69th anniversary, and we're celebrating with exciting rewards offers for our best customers. Shop anniversary celebration savings on Blaine's brand synthetic motor oil, $3.99 a quart for rewards members. Select Blaine's brand dog treats, half price for rewards members. Rewards members get 20-pound bags of KT nut and fruit blend bird food, $24.99, and get 33% reward savings on all men's work and sport boots and socks. Come celebrate and save during our anniversary sale, only at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie & Fry Water Conditioning. I've got their water softener. I've got an RO system from Guthrie & Fry. That means the water coming into my house is filtered. It's crisp, clean, clear. Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie & Fry. Quality products and services at a fair price from a local company you can trust. Guthrie & Fry protects the water in my house. They deliver the salt. Sue and Rob, owners, very generous, and on top of it, they'll treat your family like their family. Southeast Wisconsin's #1 choice is Guthrie & Fry.
Makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. Can't leave him alone for a 12.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, having some fun on a Thursday, legal edition of the Political Power Hour. Running neck and neck with the Friday version with the strategist guys for the most popular of the 5 days of the Political Power Hour, 630 WTMJ. Matt O'Neill, retired Milwaukee County, local attorney Matt O'Neill, I should say, and local retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhn-Mensch. All right, Wisconsin Supreme Court. What are they up to? What are they working on? Big cases? What should we be talking about?
I'll take the lead because I'm going to give a plug to Matt. He's actually got a case that he's arguing, Morway versus Morway, on Monday, September 23rd at 9:45 in the morning up at the Supreme Court of the state of Wisconsin.
So you can't talk about it?
I could talk about all I want, but it's thoroughly boring. It has to do with when is an order final and not final. Don't worry,
it's a
it's not
procedural
good for the
issue.
show.
Oh, okay.
Not everything is sexy, but it has to be heard. There is a schedule remaining of exactly 7 oral arguments left in 2024. So it's safe to say that the Wisconsin State Supreme Court will not hear, my opinion, but I think it's an educated opinion, the Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin versus Urmansky, which is otherwise known as the abortion case, looking at the prior abortion, what people like to believe is an abortion law.
Well, they've taken the case, Mary. It's just going to be argued probably next year.
I believe so. And my guess is, looking at the calendar for oral arguments in 2025, probably in February or March.
Right, and it's an interesting issue in the sense.
Well, lay it out for people so they understand.
Sure, the old law that was put on the books in 1840 said it makes it a felony to intentionally destroy the life of an unborn child, and it arguably applies to an abortion. But in a 1994 case on the issue, the exact statute, the Supreme Court held in a 5-2 decision that it did not apply to abortion, that it only applied to feticide, the intentional, like somebody that actually physically harms a pregnant woman to kill the child. And so the issue has kind of been decided, but now it's resurrected because of Dobbs, and I think they will just reaffirm that decision. Interesting thing about that decision is the 2 dissenters were Chief Justice Heffernan, for whom I clerked, and Shirley Abrahamson, who were the 2 more liberal members of the court, dissented from that decision.
That is sort of interesting. If prologue is a prediction of the future, the other thing that's interesting about that case is that some ads have even come out and pointed out women did not have the right to vote at the point when this statute was originally made in the state of Wisconsin. So there is some question as to whether or not there's constitutionality issues will be raised, and I think those will be interesting. It'll be an interesting discussion about what happens when African Americans didn't have the right to vote and legislation was passed that did not include their input, and same is true with women. But putting that aside, we have criminal statutes in the state of Wisconsin and in most states that if, for instance, a mother is driving, she's pregnant, 4, 5, 6 months pregnant, and she's in drunk driver kills her and in an accident, and the baby doesn't survive either. There are laws that district attorneys can use to charge for the death of the child as well, because the state has made some determinations as to the survivability of a fetus, of a baby, of an embryo, how long, and I think in the state of Wisconsin, our criminal statutes are based on a 24-week standard, so that it would be viable outside the womb. So if the mother is pregnant 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months, and the child is killed, she's killed, that she's carrying because of a drunk driving or reckless driving case, and somebody is charged criminally, they can be charged with the death of the child as well.
Let me ask you this, because somebody asked about it on the text line, WTMJ Talking text line 855-616-1620. Is there a role for the Wisconsin Supreme Court in our upcoming November election? Do you see a role that they might step in at some point and have to make a ruling on anything that happens November 5th or afterwards?
Right now, there's no pending challenge before them that they would make a decision that has any impact. However, the way election law works, if some late challenge, if some issue pops up, and who knows what it might be, the oddest things do pop up, there is a fast line to that court, and they turn around the decisions really quickly.
So, in other words, the example I gave earlier, somebody challenges a voter, somebody who's trying to register and vote, and a citizen who's an observer at the precinct and wants to challenge that goes before a circuit court duty judge, and then that can be, if the judge's decision does not, if you disagree with the judge's decision, as many people do, that can be appealed all the way up in terms of a legal basis, a constitutional basis, to the Supreme Court. And it is put on a fast track.
Assuming we have no pandemic between now and the election, I don't see it happening.
One thing that we should be aware of in terms of what the court is going to be dealing with, again, not this 2024 schedule, but early in 2025, is the challenge, the Senate Republicans wanting to fire Wolf, I forget her first name.
Megan Wolf.
Megan is the elections czar, so to speak, in Wisconsin at the state level. The Wisconsin Elections Commission has appointed her. She has continued to serve in it. No new appointment has been made by the governor or by the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and yet the Senate wants to Senate Republicans want to challenge her continuing. They want to fire her from that position for all sorts of rules that have violations that have not been taken seriously by lower courts. They've dismissed all of them. Nonetheless, the Supreme Court has agreed to take that case. They made that decision in July of this year. My guess is her firing will, whether or not the Senate has the right to do that, will take place sometime again in the spring of 2025.
We got to get to break here. I want to keep some time for closing arguments. Retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhnmensch, local attorney Matt O'Neill. Quick break, final break on the Political Power Hour Thursday edition right here in 620 WTMJ.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 2. Learn the answers to the financial questions that keep you up at night and get the latest news, tips, and takes to help you make the most of your money. For even more insights, go to creativeplanning.com/radio. At Creative Planning, our team of wealth managers works with in-house CPAs and attorneys to ensure you can rest easy knowing every aspect of your wealth is taken care of. Visit creativeplanning.com/radio.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi here for Heiser Automotive. I love talking about Heiser. Not only a spokesperson, now a customer. Just bought a brand new 2024 Chevy Trailblazer that my wife Kathy mainly drives. I drove it over the weekend. This thing's amazing. Some great features to talk about. The color, and I was just talking to a teammate about this, sterling gray metallic. Check it out. Go to their website at Heiser.com. See what I'm talking about. All the 5-star safety rating stuff, all the things that matter. Automatic emergency braking. It reminds you, hey, trouble ahead, brake. Intelligent technology that helps you be a safer driver, more safety and security for you and your family. Great owner benefits, 3-year, $36,000 bumper to bumper, 5-year, $60,000 powertrain warranty, their Safe and Sound program, all the great programs they have at Heiser. Here's what I want you to do. 5 great locations around southeastern Wisconsin. Go check it out. See what's up there. We got a great price on a Trailblazer. They will take care of your vehicle needs, not just the purchase, service, body shop, all the things you need. That's why they're number one in customer service. Heiser.com, 5 great locations. That's why they can say every day, today's your day.
Since 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Debbie Lazaga here for Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get $1,000 off and 0 interest for 12 months on your Luckstone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote, with fast professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
I'm Kamala Harris. Here's a few things I believe. Middle-class families, like the one I grew up in, they want common sense solutions. You want lower prices and lower taxes. I believe you want to just not get by, but you want to get ahead. We must create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
Instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, it's my new closing argument segment of the legal edition of Political Power Hour. Mary Kuhnmensch, retired Milwaukee County Judge. What's your closing argument today?
I love being an American, and the times I'm most proud are during the Olympics when I watch our team walk in, and they have all their jerseys with different names on them, from Ramirez to O'Brien to Skarowski to Kuhnmensch or Rukavina, you name it. And it makes me so proud when I watch that. We're the only country that walks in that has all those different names on the back, and we walk in like we bloody own the place. I love it.
It's a great country.
The second part of that is our voting. When I see long lines for people exercising, the most basic part of our democracy, which is voting. If that doesn't give you, chills up your spine and make you so proud when you're watching that on election night, I don't know what, you're cold-hearted. I don't know what will. I'm very proud of the election workers. I've been an observer. I was asked by the mayor to serve during the 2020 pandemic, Steve, and I couldn't believe the volunteers that came in, seniors that worked these polling places, even under difficult, harsh circumstances like that during the pandemic. So, bravo to the United States for having the ability to vote, and people ought to go in and observe it and with a positive mind instead of a negative mind that we're all trying to cheat and scam. We're not. We're trying to exercise our vote, and that's the basis of our democracy.
Matt O'Neill, closing arguments.
Similar to the judge, the greatest thing about this country is our ability to vote, and everybody's ability to vote from the time they turn 18. And everybody should do that. Every chance you get, you should vote. You should vote in every election, big and small. You can vote absentee. You can vote in person. I always recommend if you absentee, you do it in person at your clerk's office. It's the best. But if people have concerns about the integrity of our voting system, and people do because of things they hear, a lot of which is not true, a lot of it which is hyperbolic, but if they have those concerns, please go volunteer and work an election.
Yep.
You can volunteer through your political party. You can go straight to the clerk's office. They always need more people, particularly for November elections. And what you're going to find out is that the system works because it is us that does it.
I've used this model throughout my career, private sector, public sector, now on the radio. If you have a complaint, and it's a legitimate complaint, what's your solution? Don't just show up complaining about something. Offer something that can fix the perceived problem that you're identifying in your complaint. If you come with that attitude, I think we'll be a better society. Retired Milwaukee County Judge Mary Kuhnmensch, local attorney Matt O'Neill, wonderful to see both of you. The news is next.
Thanks,
on
Steve.
620 WTMJ.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community.